This episode of the Rogue Deck Builder is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, the #1 source for games and gaming accessories, and by GatheringMagic.com, the #1 source for Magic the Gathering news and articles. Hi there, it's Kevin with Gathering Magic and Roguedeckbuilder.com, here with this week's episode of the Rogue Deck Builder. This week I'm going to be piloting the deck that I just took to PTQ Vegas that I was able to get a top 8 finish. I ended up actually finishing at 6th place with this Dredge deck that you see before you, which is a very, very fun deck to play and super competitive. I've been actually refining it a little bit more than the list that I ran at the PTQ, and this list is working out a lot better because I have some answers to decks that I was struggling with beforehand. And anyway, if you haven't seen how the evolution of this deck, this actually started from the Playing on the Budget Crypt Incursion combo deck that I was just playing around for fun for, playing on a budget episode, and it morphed into this what I consider highly competitive deck, that already has paid for itself for me with the top 8 finish and has already won some 8-man queues. I haven't done it in a daily yet. I can't seem to be able to find a time to actually do a daily on MTGO. I was hoping I'd get into this one today and it was full. So anyway, I'm going to try to do this on some 8-man queues and hopefully we'll win those. But anyway, I'll just go down the deck tech of the list. What this is the Dredge deck. Why I consider it, it's not really a dredge mechanic, but what you're trying to do is fill your graveyard full of a bunch of cards and then get Night Howler or Jared, Golgari Lich Lord, or Nemesis Immortals extremely large. So Nemesis Immortals you can cast for 1 less, and Monstrous it for 1 less for each creature in your graveyard. So quickly, before my game starts here, we also have we're running 3 Blood Crypts, 4 Temple of Malices, 3 Stomping Grounds, 4 Temple of Abandon, so a full playset of the temples that are available to us, and then 4 Overgrown Tombs. So that puts us at 10 Shocklands and 8 Scrylands. And I'm also using, just as the majority of my colors are going to be green and black, we're putting in 2 Swamps and 5 Forests. This also allows us to cast a turn 1 Deathrite Shaman with an untapped Swamp, Forest, Overgrown Tomb, or Blood Crypt, or Stomping Ground. So pretty powerful card in this deck. I did include it because the ramp is very underrated. You can't actually use all the cards in your graveyard to ramp. Law of the Trill is by far the best card in the deck. It's the best target to hook up a Night Howler to. It gives control decks a nightmare, as Detention Sphere is the only thing that's very reliable to remove it, as cards like Last Breath and, of course, like Doomblade and Dark Betrayal aren't that great against it because it can regenerate. Satyr Wayfinder and Grizzly Salvage are what we use to actually put cards in the graveyard. Satyr Wayfinder is very good because it's a creature that can actually add to your graveyard count, which is nice. And mostly you do want to land. So it's top 4 cards in your library that you get to put in the graveyard, and then you also get a land, usually. Statistically speaking, usually do hit with Satyr Wayfinder. And Grizzly Salvage can actually find you the Night Howler, or it can find you a land as well. Now, Reaper of Wilds was a recent change. I decided to use Reaper of the Wilds over Desecration Demon, as I do believe that it is more relevant in the format. What was happening with Desecration Demon is it was just getting tapped down by my bad matchups or easily removed by my good matchups, and it just kind of sat there. So Reaper is a lot better of a card versus like Boros Devotion, as well as it comes out a lot. It stays on the board and they can't tap it down with like a Burning Emissary, and it blocks pretty favorably with everything in that deck, as the 4/2 Fnatic and Mogus it blocks with. So I think it's just a nod over the Desecration Demon. And also this Death Touch is very, very pertinent with Trample with the Gorkon Rampager. Also with this, the Reaper of the Wild gaining Hexproof is very, very good against the Control. So now we have Lot Literal and Reaper package that is great versus Control. I just thought it was an overall better pick than Desecration Demon. Then I'm running 4 Night Howlers. Night Howlers are great because it gets +X for each creature card in all graveyards, as well as you can bestow it for 4. So very, very good with Night Howler. I win a ton of games hooking up a Night Howler to a Lot of the Troll. Gorkon Rampager is amazing because of Blood Rush. You can give your non-Lot of the Trolls Trample, like a Night Howler out on board. You can give it Trample for the win. And Flesh and Blood is extremely powerful in this deck, as the Flesh actually comes in handy every once in a while, but Blood on a 10/10 Nemesis Immortals is huge, as well as blooding a Lot of the Troll that you've just Gorkon Rampagered and ditched the rest of your hand to is huge as well. Since we have a ton of creature cards in our graveyard, I am using Shadowborn Demon as our removal. It is very, very good against Boros Devotion, very good against not very good against Mono Black, but very good against RG monsters as well, and comes out versus the other matchups. Jared, I just like as a 2-of because a lot of times you can just get it back from your graveyard. He gets huge in this deck as well, and I've already talked about Animus Immortal being able to monstrosity it. So sideboard choices here, I'm using Lightbane Zombies because there's so many black or white and green creatures in the format. You see Celestia aggro a lot, you see RG monsters a ton, and you see Orzhov control. I bring in Scavenging Ooze against any sort of aggro strategy that uses creatures as a way to stabilize. Not a bad card. Underworld Cerberus comes in basically only against UI control variants. I sometimes bring in its mono black as we get everything back from our graveyard. It just puts our opponents in kind of these nightmare situations. Do they want to kill the Underworld Cerberus and give me all my creatures back, or try to deal with it, through Detention Sphere or another method? I bring in a 1 of Domri versus control in mono black. I found out that 1 of Domri is usually the right number. I'm messing around with the number of those. Bring in Abrupt Decays versus a lot of different decks like mono black and any sort of aggro strategy. Golgari Charm's great versus Azorius and Esper controls, as well as it's good against mono black. And Needles are basically in there as a utility card. It was shutting down the Pack Rats. Pack Rat was giving me a problem. So anyway, that's the list. I'll hurry and play this game, and maybe we'll talk about more of the deck as time goes on. This is Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. Thanks for watching.